Welcome back to the garage, everybody. This is my 95 Lexus LS400, and today, fingers crossed, we're going to finally solve a 6-month intermittent misfire. This thing has 160,000 miles. It's kind of filthy right now, so you can't really tell, but it's in almost mint condition. When the misfiring started last August, the only codes I was getting was Misfire Cylinder 3, Misfire Cylinder 8. Ended up being most of the cylinders, so I thought I'd start with the spark plugs. They were really old and fried, probably original to the car. So new plugs and wires. Didn't solve the misfire, but I thought I'd keep going since things should get replaced anyway. Rotors and caps did. Those are under these covers. Also did the coils, one here, one down there. This is a basically a hybrid between mechanical rotors and electronic ignition. We also did new ignition modules, and nothing solved the misfire, but all that together was only about 350 bucks off of Rock Auto, so glad we did it. Obviously at this point I was thinking ECU. I didn't want to have to replace the ECU. It was $1,000 more used online. So I'd heard in forums, that's where the ECU is, up in there. I'd heard in forums that the capacitors in the ECU can go bad. It was only 10 bucks for a capacitor kit. This is the ECU right here, actually. Did new capacitors, and they were bad. They leaked all over the board. Put that back in. It ran great, perfectly, better than it had ever done since I bought the car, but only for about 20 minutes. So I think what happened is the capacitors were bad. This was the first ever soldering job I did. I ordered a soldering iron. Probably did a bad job. So I think the board failed after about 20 minutes. So when that failed, I thought it was worth 85 bucks for a diagnosis at a professional mechanic. Took it in. It was almost a continuous misfire at that point and was running really rough, so they suggested injectors. Problem with injectors on this car, they're under the intake manifold, so he was quoting me 800 bucks just for labor. I found $30 each for remanufactured injectors, so let's roll that tape. So to get at the intake, we're going to start all the way over here and pull the whole airflow off. Forgot there is one more 10 mil bolt back here. This whole thing is a unit. There we go. Now hopefully we can see the bottom half of this. There it is. Alright, throttle body is off. Before I go any further though, I don't know if you can see in there, there's about an inch of crud in there. So for these two, also 12 millimeters, you're going to need to use your U-joint to get in there, unless you want to take your spark plug wire tray off, and I kind of don't think we need. This top plenum is held on by a bunch of 12 mil. Well, we got all the bolts and nuts out, and of course it makes absolutely no difference, but I mean that one's gross. I'm going to give these a quick clean. Alright, so this is the back of the top plenum. We have this hose, we have this guy which has what appears to be 3 12 mil, and then this tiny little rubber thing. There's that one. And the little guy's off. Ah, there we go. It's not too tight back here. Here we go. This ratcheting closed end wrench is definitely coming in handy. Ah, got it. There it is. Okay, that one did not want to move. Okay, looks like that's everything off the back. It's loose. Let's see if I can fight it out of here. There we go. Let's give it a clean. So here it is, cleaned up. Turned out pretty good. It still has some gunk in there. It's more or less discoloration at this point. Oh, and you definitely want to pull this off. It's just the 4 12mm nuts / bolts, and this is obviously where the EGR goes in, and it was completely gunked up, like an aorta that needs a bypass. There was maybe 50% cross section still left for airflow. So pull that off, cleaned it, put it back on. So this is looking good. Let me show you this. Hopefully you can see that. That has got to be a mouse nest. If we got any pest control guys, comment below. It almost looks too big to be a mouse nest. Well, there's a big chunk. Okay, I've got as much out of there as I can, and there's just no way to get at it. So we're gonna try and pull this off. Since most of it's below the actual intake ports anyway, hopefully nothing will get in there while we get it out. So to get the actual intake out, you've got 8 of these T40 Torx heads, and then of course we still have to disconnect all the connectors for each injector. A couple more things that have to come out of the way. This diagnostic port pops off just with this tab, and then underneath the throttle body we've got a wiring harness mount. That's a 10mm. That's got to come off. Let's see. So it's actually 6 bolts and 4 nuts. 9 out of the 10 came off really easy. The last one is the passenger side rear, and you're gonna have a hard time seeing this on the camera, but it's all the way down right there. And I believe if we remove the wiring harness, we'll be able to get at it. Yeah, that hose is definitely in the way. Okay, I think I got a solution. So the wiring harness is in the way, and the little 10mm bolt back there is wedged between these 2 hoses, so I cannot get at it. So over here, right there, is another 10mm holding that side of the wiring harness on. Somebody who's done a bunch of these, I'm sure, knows a better way, but I was able to wedge the wiring harness out of the way, and I've actually got the socket on. All right, this is gonna work here. What a beautiful sound. There we go, Mr. Magnet. Can we get you in there? Holy cow. All right, guys, that's 10 out of 10. Let's see if it's loose. Oh, it is loose. Looks like I'm gonna have to pull this. This one bolt's gonna be good enough. Get my 17mm in there. Easy. And this side. the crossover pipe. All right, that should get us a little more room on the front to pull this thing out. Okay, the main fuel line is this guy right here, and it's a 21 mil. I don't actually have one, but I was able to pop it loose with an adjustable, so no problem there. The secondary runs all the way around behind, and this is a 17 mil. All right, everything's disconnected, I think, except for this guy right here. Everything else is loose. It's still catching on something. I don't know if it's just that or not. This was hitting right here, so I actually inserted my extension, bent it out of the way. All right, as I feared, it is this hard line here. This thing's held in place by, I believe, a single 10 mil nut on that bracket back there, and this, I mean, right next to the throttle cable. Let's see if we can even get in there. Oh, is that it or not? I don't know if you guys watched the guy in New Zealand who works on all of these over from Japan over there, and he was working on one of these, and they absolutely just bent and mangled this pipe to get it off, and I can totally see why. Ooh, did I get it? I think it might be loose. All right, there it is. Remember this guy back here that I couldn't get a socket on? Well, a deep well or spark plug socket was able to get on there, and I just broke it loose. And we have to do that to get the wiring harness out of the way, because right in here, there's another bracket for this hard line. Okay, this is like open heart surgery. I don't know if you can see it. Right there, final 10 mil that's on the bracket for this hard line fuel rail. Trying to see if there's any way to get a wrench on that. Yeah, there's just no way. I'm tempted to just bend this bracket. This must be what people do. Okay, I think I got it. The rear was hitting that bracket, which is supposed to not be there. I think you have to remove the entire wiring harness to get at that bracket nut. What I did was bent that bracket back far enough to where I got the front out. Now I'm down to just trying to unwrap. I may have to disconnect that from the EGR valve. I took a bunch of pictures, but I was trying to keep as much connected as possible. Let's remove that hose, and I think we'll be in business. Turns out the easiest way with these rock hard hoses was just to pull this bracket off. Then I was able to get everything over here, put it right back on. I think that means we're out. Cannot wait to get this cleaned up and shiny. There's some carbon in here, but I mean, it definitely needs to be cleaned. It was nothing like the upper plenum, which is obviously closer to the EGR valve. But there it is, it's out. And let's check out the apartment building. Look at that. That has to be, that is a spacer in there, isn't it? So I'm giving it a good clean, and before I lied, I said the actual intake wasn't that crusty with deposits, but look at that. It's still a couple of mil. Got the exterior cleaned up pretty good. It's going to be buried obviously under the plenum, so I'm not going to get it too pretty. And then about to hit the inside. And here they are, nice and clean. I think they turned out really good. There's almost nothing left in here, just a little bit of discoloration. Nice and smooth. I want to give you a good look at this mouse nest. I'm trying to figure out where they could have got that material from. It looks like a piece of insulation, like an insulation blanket, but I've been over this whole car and I don't think it's from this car. It must have sat for years, you know, 27 years old, 160,000 miles. That's well under 10K a year. Yeah, at least they're not coming apart. That's not terrible. Wow, there's half an inch of gunk at the bottom. Alright, let's do this. I've only got two 12 mils holding it in. And the injectors just sit in here. They spin freely. A little bit of fuel left in there. There we go. Yeah, these seals. Yeah, the seals are rock hard. I'm doing all this work and I'm starting to worry that the misfire isn't even from the injectors, but I mean, they look kind of grody. If nothing else, the seals are rock hard. Let me show you a new one. These are remanufactured. They're like 25 bucks a piece, which is literally 10% of the cost of OEM brand new ones. So yeah, new versus old. That's rock hard. That's squishy. Okay, if nothing else, the seals needed to be done. I do have to send these back for a core deposit. Oh yeah, that one lost its seal. So I will make sure to keep these handy. Oh yeah, this is what we found in the V of the engine, and my suspicion was it's a spacer. It may still be a spacer, but it's not for this one. So that's still a mystery. Yep, everything just pops out. Nice. Make sure my new seals fit in there properly. Okay, we got 8 good injectors here, and do a double check that they come with all necessary seals. This guy down here, little spacer, top one. I thought they had 4 seals per injector, but looking like 3. So we're good to go here. Gave these a final clean out, and they, yeah, okay, so that's loose. Watch out for that. They look like they're the same both ways, so. Oh, cool, there's a little pop, so you know they're in. There we go. And then the rail just goes on top. Oh yeah, that's the right rear corner, so this must go here. Alright, I guess we're forcing the new seal up in there. Takes a little bit of pressure. There we go. Let's not forget a bracket. Okay, they're pretty snug. And they were just sitting there. We're compressing these seals down here, so it's not going to take much just to hold it in place. Alright, let's do the other side. And of course I forgot a little bit of lube. That's why the other side was so hard to seat. Put a little bit of grease on these and it should go a lot smoother. Yes, that's much easier. Much easier. Okay, that's in. That's 8 new injectors in, and they do spin without much effort. They're just kind of sitting in there. It's kind of funny, all this high pressure fuel, all those injectors just sitting there between 2 rubber gaskets held in place by 2 little nuts. But that's all done, ready to go back in the car, and we're going to do that tomorrow. So we cleaned off the mating surfaces for the gasket and hit everything one more time with a vacuum. Now there are studs to hold these in position, but these little notches are offset for the intake port, so make sure you get that right, otherwise it won't even seal. In case you forget, you got an arrow right here pointing forwards. Holy cow. Is that it? I think we're in, boys. I'm gonna be really conservative and just put it in place with the magnet. There we go. Really got to thread it with the magnet. So obviously everything goes back together the way it came apart, but first thing we're going to do is reattach this bracket to secure the fuel rail. We got the front fuel crossover. We've got the main fuel in here, this crossover fuel line right here. We've got to bend this bracket back down. We've got our 2 wiring harness bolts, and that might be it, and then we can get the upper plenum on. Front crossover goes in like this. So that's 7 of the 8 injectors connected to the wiring harness. Over in the front left, you also got these two locators, and I think 5 of the 8 connectors completely snapped. 27-year-old plastic. So definitely don't try this at home, but I've been using zip ties to secure them. That goes in there. Maybe it's just the blue plastic, because these gray ones seem to all be pretty robust still. This is the rear fuel crossover line, and I've given up on securing this bracket. Got 3/4 of an inch back here. If anyone can locate the screw into the hole and get it started threaded, more power to you. So next we just got to resecure the wiring harness both sides. We got 10 mil here, here, and there's one back in here. Your 2 fuel connectors, this is 17 mil. And this is your 19, and that one's already tightened up. I had an extra wiring harness bolt, but of course it's not extra. It goes right back there. I think that's it. I think we're ready for the upper plenum. I really feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know what it would be. Oh yeah. Got to rebend this thing. I'm just gonna guess where it's supposed to be, and we can always pull the plenum off and adjust if we have to. There it is. I think we're in. All right, let's get the back hooked up. Okay, I was able to bend this enough to get those threaded, so both of those 2 bolts are tightened. I've got this banjo bolt tightened and the hose back on. I don't know where this little hose is, floating around somewhere. All right, now that we got the back lined up, let's do the bolts. We got 8 nuts and 4 bolts. And this guy, if anybody knows what this is called, let me know in the comments. It's not a second EGR, is it? Got the EGR valve in, and we're making progress lining up all the brackets. This is the connector that's hanging out the bottom of the upper plenum, and its bracket goes here on the left side of the EGR. This guy right here goes into this plenum bolt right there, and this guy comes around underneath here and sits right there. Welcome to next Wednesday. Throttle body gasket came in. So let's see if we can finish this thing up. It's kind of an odd trapezoid shape, but that looks like it. Fat side down. Wow, that looks real flimsy. There we go. And finally, throttle cables. Good. Now that's everything but the intake. Somebody's having fun. It's 62 degrees on January 3rd. The beast is out of the garage. The ignition is on, but I don't hear any fuel pump running. I also may have just a dead battery, I'm not sure, but checking for leaks. I don't see any. Gas. Well, that's a 2800 RPM idle. That's not a good sign.
I smell and hear stuff.
Let's find our loose. It's got to be at the back of the engine. I would back up actually.
Back up. It'll be fine.
I don't smell anything or see anything. So far so good. That doesn't sound great. Maybe it's alright. Let's check out the exhaust. Yeah, it's definitely, still definitely misfiring. Oh well, it was worth a shot. Well, you don't need a light on the engine to hear that misfiring. Disappointment. We're back to the future. It's next Thursday, and this came in the mail today. This is ECU number 3. No surprise, the last one I ordered was not remanufactured, and I didn't even bother putting it on the car. I opened it up, and it's had that same goo on the motherboard. So I didn't even bother to use it, just returned it. This one I'm much more hopeful about. It's sealed, it's a lifetime warranty. This company's great. All they do is ECUs. If it does end up working, I'll put a link down below, but I can't even pop it open to look at it. But they actually requested the VIN after I ordered it and did some model-specific tuning on it. So today we're going to put this in and see if we can get the car rolling. On these second-gen LS400s, the ECU is behind the glove box. Obviously, I already have it out. This is it right here. To get the glove box out, it's only 3 screws and 2 bolts. It hangs right here, and your 3 screws are along the top there. And to get the nuts, there's a little panel here that comes off to get at that nut, and then there's a second one that goes right there through here. And another good thing Lexus did is this is your cabin air filter right there. Very easy to get at. You don't have to take the whole dash apart. So definitely change that when you have this all apart. And here's what it looks like going into the car. You've got this bracket down here with 2 screws. This one up here with 2 screws. These 2 slots go up top underneath the dash. This one feeds into a screw. There we go. And make sure this feeds through there. Okay, everything's bolted up. You don't really need to label all your connectors. The wiring harness is set up. Everything's just the right length and shape, and some of it's color coded, so it all wants to go right back into where it was. Okay, fingers crossed. Fired up fine. I don't hear any stumbling. It doesn't seem to be running rich. The idle's fine. It's still warming up, obviously, so it's a little high. Last time, even right from fire up, you could feel in the exhaust the misfiring. This feels great. Let's take it for a ride. Of course, last time I thought it was fixed. It ran great for 20 minutes and then right back to misfiring. But I think we've got it. We'll let it warm up, get some speed, and see what she does. Disappointment. Well, the misfire's gone. It's still down a little on power, and it won't rev past 5,000. Welcome to Good News Monday, everybody. After our disappointing test drive on Saturday, I was trying to think, why is this car acting so fuel starved? So started poking around, and of course a good place to start is the fuel inline, which is this right here. Pulled this off, and check out where those washers are. That does not look normal, does it? Compare this right here to this. This is obviously the washer. So obviously the fuel goes up in this way through the cap, that's where the diaphragm is, and then out the hollow shaft. how's any fuel supposed to get in there? This is the new washer that goes on here. Somehow I managed to get both washers on top of the banjo. So when I tightened it down to get it to stop leaking fuel, I just crushed the small washer up into the other one. It's amazing that enough fuel was getting in there to run at all. So I went on eBay, found this one. It's like 30 bucks in California. Ordered it Saturday night. This came already on Monday night. So this has got to be our problem. Let's install this and see what we can do. All right, guys, you ready for this? We've got some heat in the engine and clear road. Please get above 5,000 RPM. There it is. I think that's it. I think we solved it. There's no misfire. Pulling strong. I almost went above the speed limit there. Yes! Well, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I absolutely love this car. I've always dailied Miatas and sport compacts, always with a stick shift, so this is the exact opposite of what I'm used to. Bought it 2 years ago as a winter beater, but I just fell in love with it. I love how smooth and comfortable it is, and just the overall feeling of quality. I drive it all year round now. It's my go-to road trip car, highway cruiser car. So would I regret not just buying the ECU in the first place and solving the misfire? I don't think so, because there's only about $400 on top of the ECU, and for that I got a completely new ignition system, including 2 new ignition modules, and cleaned out the intake, new injectors. I probably added back 10 horsepower from stock with the better airflow, all new parts. I plan to keep this car forever, and now it's running like it should. Hope you enjoyed watching me wrestle with this thing. Check back again for more videos, and thanks for watching.